April 20th, 1653. Oliver Cromwell dissolves the Rump Parliament, replacing it with the much more dignified Fart Geyser Committee. Welcome to The Revisionists. I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zach Powers.
And our guest tonight is absolutely terrific. Co-host of a great show called Ruckus, and member of Big City Drugs. The band, not the phenomenon. Although, maybe. I don't know what I'm doing. Corey Healy, everyone.
Hey, greetings. Hello.
Corey, thank you for being here.
Thank you, guys.
Zach, thank you as always. Also.
Yep, I did it. I marginally managed to do it.
He threw on
behind the scenes spoiler. I have had a hard time finding times to record the past couple of weeks.
It's hard sometimes.
It's hard sometimes is the name of a sad man's porn tape. I'm resorting to office puns. This is a reflection of how my last 2 weeks have been too busy to come up with actual jokes.
Well, I'm in a similar spot, and I think this is like our latest recording ever, but we're here, and hey, I've noticed the last few weeks an inexplicable surge in listeners from Sweden.
Nice.
Well, actually, as of like last month, just in terms of people visiting the website, we had more people visiting from Sweden than from the United States.
Hell yeah. Pulling in them Swedes.
Yeah. So I just want to say, hey.
Well, you know what they say, once you go Swede, you know what's sweet? I don't know. What is the saying for once you fuck a Swedish person?
Oh yeah, no, it's if you fuck a Swedish person, it doesn't translate well, really. It's from the Old Norse, actually.
It's a relation of the old slogan for the movie Candyman, like sweets for the Swedes. Look out for the Jordan Peele remake coming in 2020. I have to ask, Cody, does
Corey?
your shirt say Pueblo Escobar in relation to the town of Pueblo from southern Colorado?
Bingo. Yeah, this is a band in Denver made up of one dude, I think, from Pueblo. But yeah, it's definitely a Pueblo, Colorado shirt. Home of green chili. People in Sweden
I love
who need
Pueblo.
to know.
Some of my best friends, actually, this is not a joke. This is not like some of my best friends are black. Some of my best friends are from Pueblo. And I love it as the town where, the scenes where the like sad, poor person from the First Vacation movie, who played that? Randy Quaid?
Randy Quaid, yeah.
Yeah. His family lived in Pueblo. And also, famous serial killer Edmund Kemper, he fled from California after he knew he was going to be discovered, came all the way to Pueblo, Colorado, and said, if this is all America has to offer, I'm going to turn myself in, and called the police from a Pueblo phone booth and was arrested in Pueblo.
Man, if he would have just made it to Elizabeth.
Yeah.
That whole story is actually the motto for the town of Pueblo.
Almost good enough for Edmund Kemper.
Well, listeners, we are in the middle of our discussion of the Civil War through the stories of people of color who lived through that time period. Our last episode, Sojourner Truth, the true history won out, which I think is maybe going to happen with almost all of these.
It was in the name on that one.
Yeah, no, of course.
This is a real problematic section of our podcast because every single person we ask to host is like, well, I don't want to make this historic black figure from the Civil War into a joke, so...
Yeah. And like I try to tell people,
how about you do it instead?
Yeah. Why don't you handle it? We're the pros at this.
I'd love to rewrite history on a guy like Nathaniel Bacon, general in the army that died of dysentery.
Oh yeah,
but he's
Bacon.
White.
Yeah.
He's a white person.
Everybody wants to put Tesla in his place.
Oh, we'll fucking get to Tesla. Don't worry.
Yeah, there will be no mercy. We're gonna have Lisa Lampanelli on the Tesla episode to fucking The Queen of Mean is going to put him in his place. You loved a pigeon, motherfucker? I don't know. I can't write jokes like her.
Few can, really.
Few can. Few do.
She's a great
Few
couple.
should, if I
This is a bright mark in the story of humanity that few people write jokes like Lisa Lampanelli. This episode we're going to be discussing Alan Allensworth.
It's a tough name to remember, being it's one word twice.
I knew Worth was at the end of it, and it began with an A.
Yeah, was it Brian Bryansworth? Was it
Craigsworth?
Martha Martin?
Dick Dixworth?
You know
which
my Uncle
actually,
D.
that sounds like a fucking...
Like Private Eye?
Yeah, a little bit. Or like the rough draft of a Private Eye character. It's like, I'll come up with a better name later, and it never happened.
I feel like the prime time for like people with the same first and last name was either early rock bands or jazz musicians, where you could just be like, I'm Chip Chipsworth, and here's the Canaries song.
Yeah, of course everyone knows the Canary song.
Bluntsworth sounds like a privileged white rapper.
Yeah, Bluntsworth is definitely like...
Not a lot of people know that Eminem is short for Emmonsworth. The first white rapper who made it in the 90s.
Oh, of the Detroit Emmonsworths, okay.
Yeah, of course, yeah. The Emmonsworth's fortunes.
They're making, I think, what, toffee?
Yeah, peanut brittle, I think.
Yeah, no, of course.
My favorite brittle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
everyone's favorite brittle.
It's a pretty good brittle.
I'm a fan of statue.
I actually have a hard time thinking of a second brittle.
Well, we'll save that for another podcast.
Yeah, the history of brittle. Corey, you're going to be doing the true story, or the government-sanctioned version of events, which is what we do on this fucking podcast, which I forgot to mention. And then Zach will be presenting the alternate history.
Yeah. Or in the case of every one of these episodes, an expansion on the true history.
Yes, indeed. Because we know what we're doing.
Yeah, we're not going to be like, Alan Allensworth was actually a shitbag.
And then the winner gets to become the truth.
Hey there, this is Brian, reminding you that The Revisionist is supported by listeners just like you. You can make a pledge and get rewards like shirts and even the right to vote over at patreon.com/therevisionists.
All right, guys, it was April 7th. Oh, man, I meant to bring a harmonica in to just like...
Oh, I thought you were feeding off like the sexual tension I put into that.
Yeah. It was April 7th, but a scant week ago, as of this recording.
Oh, yeah, you guys planned that. Now, if you guys didn't know, oftentimes in Kentucky, black people are born slaves. And that's what happened to Alan.
Well, let's contemporize this. They were born slaves at the time that Alan Allensworth was born.
So he was one, listeners. People in Sweden, America has been terrible for hundreds of years. And
I think they've heard about how terrible we are.
Especially recently.
Especially recently. He was the youngest of 13, which is why they literally ran out of all the names at the time. Like they're like, we've just got to name him Alan.
Go back up to A.
We can't name him Allensworth. That sounds too much like a James Bond thing.
There were 12 total names in 1842.
We went through Alan's xylophone, so let's go back.
His parents were Phyllis and Levi of Levi's Jeans. Things were going to work out for Alan. That was a lie. He had a bunch of siblings. They all ended up in different places. For all 13 of them. Holy moly. Or 12 of the other ones. One took part in the Underground Railroad. One was, I hate the way I wrote this down, sold down the river.
Oh,
well, that's the truth. This I wrote all out 8 days ago,
That's
maybe.
probably the origin of the phrase.
But yeah, so I wrote this like a little over a week, 8 days ago. So there might be some words I shouldn't have wrote that way. And sold down the river is one of them.
The world has changed since 1 week ago. And in fact, since the week since we recorded this and it's going to be released to the listeners, I think we're all #canceled based on the content.
His sister Mary Jane bought her freedom. Cool thing about Alan Allensworth, I'm always going to say his full name. It needs to be done. He learned to read, which is essentially illegal at the time. He was assigned as a slave to someone who essentially was like, let's just teach this dude to read, which is very cool. That prompted him to be moved away from that location. Like, they were like, this dude's being taught to read, get him out of here.
Yep.
Which is a lot like the public school systems here in Denver. All the money goes to the rich kids. It's terrible, guys. Let's do something about it later.
Don't worry. That's not just Denver.
That's anywhere.
Welcome to Betsy DeVos's public education system.
So he was relocated to a Quaker place, not like oatmeal, like the religion, Quaker. So the Quaker kept teaching him to read too, because why not? They took him to Sunday school as well. That'll come into play later when we talk about religious stuff that he did.
Mm-hmm. And the Quakers were sort of generally anti-slavery too, so...
Richard Nixon was a Quaker, so you're saying you would have voted for him, Brian?
That's not... I mean...
Well, Brian confirmed for a Nixon fan.
I mean, look, if Nixon came out against slavery, I would be, one, sort of surprised, but I'd be like,
here's a
credit
fun
where credit's due.
Full disclosure of history. Nixon implemented a lot of anti-segregation measures that had not been enforced since Brown versus Board. So, one small point for Nixon.
Opening discussions up with China was kind of a big deal at that time, and it helped pretty much pave the economy that was successful.
You know what?
Under the
4
lies
more
of Reagan.
Am I right?
Nixon, better than Trump. He was okay at being a president and terrible at being not a criminal.
I'm writing him in. Here's a fun Nixon fact. He said
better than Reagan.
That's not a fun one. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Nixon once said that had it came around sooner. I think Nixon was born in like 1930s. No, probably earlier than that. What I'm thinking. He said that if rap music had come out sooner, it's something he probably would have not only taken a deeper liking in, but probably participated in.
Yeah, he'd be like
hip-hop.
Thank God he was not born later then.
Yeah.
Or
if Nixon were like Nixon president age right now, he'd be like, I went to Hamilton. It was a lot of fun.
I honestly feel like we've already all heard Nixon's mixtapes. So I'm going to say that's not going to be a good thing for rap.
He does have some famous mixtapes.
I'm actually looking forward to the Nixon tapes remix.
He's selling them out of the back of the President Mobile.
Now I just want to open a SoundCloud and get a bunch of hype behind it, but just start releasing the Nixon tapes on it.
These fucking troglodytes. I said troglodytes instead of a racial or mental disability slur because that's what's on those tapes.
Yeah, Jesus.
He loved the R word, not Republican.
Well, he loved both R words. He loved Republican too.
Yeah.
So anyways, then Nixon was discovered that he could read again. Just joking. Alan Allensworth is the guy. The next mistress that he ended up with, I don't think that means sex partner. I think that means something else back then.
Person who persecutes you.
Yeah, they found out again that he was being taught, so shipped off again. This next mistress ended his education and abused him for trying to learn more as he was doing so. And then he gets paired up, just like the movie Gone Fishing, with a friendly white orphan. He
played by what, Walter Matthau? Then is that what that is?
It was Pesci and Glover.
Oh, I'm thinking of Grumpy Old Men.
Those were all white people. They didn't include a Danny Glover. So yeah, they get together and then they planned an escape. Alan and the orphan. I couldn't read much about the attempt of the escape, but it was a failure. And then they sold him again, and they named the new master. His name's Fred Scruggs, which I just think is like a fun sounding name.
It's like a Coen Brothers.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. And this would be a good Coen Brothers script. Scruggs taught this young dude to be a jockey for his horse, taught him like how to care for horses and stuff like that. Andy, he liked that he was educated, so it was like, oh, this is a bonus. This dude knows stuff, cares about stuff, wants to learn stuff. Then in 1861, Scruggs took Alan Allensworth to Louisville, where he was essentially going to do some horse work, but then wanted to track down his mom. He found the one sister that got out.
The classic job trajectory at the time, horse work.
Horsework.
I got my PhD in horsework.
I'm just freelancing a little bit in horsework. God damn it.
So this is where the story gets like cool because it's him being a fucking bad boy. While he was working on a farm, some soldiers from the 44th Illinois Volunteer Infantry, they were like, "Hey, dude, come join us. Don't be a slave anymore." And that's essentially how he gets out of slavery. He disguises himself in like some old military stuff he found.
Which is, to be fair, a very effective recruiting tactic.
Yeah.
Let's just convince this slave to be a medic.
Want to not be a slave?
No one's ever asked me that before.
Yeah, that's kind of the point.
It's like being asked to prom when you're a freshman. The exact same thing. This wasn't an option till now.
When you are a high school freshman, it kind of you're so self-centered that it does feel that way a little bit.
Here's Brian repeating his incel form propaganda.
No. I'm editing that out. Fuck it.
I really liked when you just compared being asked to prom to slavery, and not in a joking way like I did.
Women don't love me. It's a form of slavery.
I'm not saying that's a valid opinion.
Brian's a married man. He's better off than at least me. I don't know about Cody.
So yeah, he disguised himself in military stuff, slathered his face in mud, and essentially from there on, he just like joined the. Yeah, he's really. What was the movie he was in with Apollo
with the
Creed?
Predator?
Yeah. Yeah, I did.
Because in The Predator, he puts mud on his face to escape the Predator.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, I was going to say the pro wrestler and Apollo Creed. All the fun buff dudes of the 80s.
Yeah, I think you're thinking of Stallone in terms of the Rocky movies.
One cool thing he did is essentially the way he joined the military was he put all this shit on, and there was a march that they were just doing through the area, and like right in front of his slave owner, old Scruggs, he just walked right in and joined him on the march. So like that dude literally watched his own slave like join a march and proceed. I like that story. I'm pretty sure that like I did a really good job, guys, of not going to Wikipedia right away, but at some point I had to.
Yeah. I love the idea of this socially awkward slave owner who's like, his slave walks away and he's like, oh.
Like, I paid for that, human being.
Yeah, I definitely like that more than the other stuff. Yeah.
Scruggs seems cool though. He seems like a hip, cool slave owner, dude. And he's like, let's teach you horses. Go find your mom.
It's not a slight on Scruggs. It's a slight on the weakness of the slave owner to actually do anything.
But yeah, I think that's just so cool, man. Just to like join the people and walk off. From there, he became a civilian nurse, male nurse. Am I right, guys?
Yep.
True.
My wife's a nurse. I can make those jokes.
Yep. Wait. Okay.
The woman who supports me is a nurse. I can make those jokes. So yeah, he was a nurse's aide, and he made nice with a dude named Dr. A.J. Gordon, who invited him to his house, and that was like the first time he ever actually felt free, was going to this doctor's house, being fed a meal, sitting at his table with his family, which is pretty cool. Like that's like the first probably easy breath he'd like taken in his life, where he's just like, oh, this is the world at my feet. So immediately he joins the military for real. He's like, oh, freedom. It's like those recruiting tactics they do. They still do. They go find high schoolers when they're 17 and they're like, oh, this is the shortest line to join the military. Come in. So in 63, he joined the Navy, served on gunboats. The gunboats' names, Tawa and Queen City, in case you wanted to know that I actually read on this, you know. And we're in the Queen City. He must have rowed a boat in Denver. Sorry, Queen City of the Plains. Say what?
Oh, is Queen City an actual name for Denver? I've literally never heard that.
Queen City of the Plains, which Queen City was
Charlotte.
It was Charlotte
and another couple
Cincinnati
places.
Also,
there's a few Queen cities on the East Coast.
Yeah,
but I think Charlotte was named after Queen Charlotte.
Do you guys think that Denver is more of a Danny or a Sansa?
Jesus Christ. What character was that? Like
that's my former Sex and the City fan who is now a Game of Thrones fan.
Oh, of course. Sorry. Why did I
Her
see
main
that?
allegiance, his/her main allegiance is to HBO.
Okay, so there's a little bit of Deadwood in there for a time.
Yeah.
The Wire.
Is he more of a Swearingen or a Bullock?
Or McNulty or
Omar.
Bunk.
Can't think of another character from The Wire.
A
Well, there's
show I've watched
700.
9 times all the way
A
through.
show you have a tattoo of on your arm.
That is true.
What's
Not the character's name.
What's the tattoo?
Oh, it's just...
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, chess. It's from the chess thing, listeners.
Yeah.
It says all the pieces matter.
No, it's just a tattoo of fucking Kennard shooting Omar in the head. Spoiler alert. Shit.
Yeah, it was over 10 years ago, guys. Get over it.
Dude, when when he died, when Michael B. Jordan's character dies, dude,
Yeah.
that hurt.
Wallace.
That hurt good.
Wallace.
Did I-
Cornwallis.
As someone named Corey,
It's a
I put
history
Core
podcast.
before everything.
Cornwallis.
That'd be fucking
I
great.
wish that Hamilton had a scene where a character was like, "Hey, yo, where Cornwallis?"
Well, wasn't there there was a military person named Cornwallis?
Yeah.
I'm pretty
the
sure.
British general who was defeated at Yorktown, led to the end of the American Revolution. But it'd be so great if fucking Bodie and Poot killed him in his fucking
David
apartment.
fucking Diggs being like, "Hey, yo, where Cornwallis?"
I really love The Wire.
God damn it. Yeah, it's fucking The Wire, fucking Yorktown edition.
HBO programming was so good 12 years ago.
Fucking.
That's like a frustrated history teacher trying to connect with their students, but they don't know how.
They think that the two pieces are 15-year-old HBO dramas.
All right, you guys are having trouble with this history course? Let me just talk to you guys a little bit, make things fresh. Remember The Wire? You know Michael
It
B.
came
Jordan?
out when you were
bored.
3 years old.
Well, it was Michael B. Jordan's first role. Dude, if I was a teacher, I would for sure bring
You know
Friday Night Lights
Killmonger.
into the conversation weekly.
Oh, god damn it. Okay. Anyway.
So, Allensworth, Queen City. Okay, there we go. In 68, let's see here. In St. Louis, he teamed up with his brother William, and they my handwriting's pretty shitty here. Oh, they got together and started doing work together, building churches, essentially building congregation in churches as well. So that's when he kind of becomes a little bit of a church-going man. Not a church-going man, but starting to show his face as someone that's looking to build congregations, build churches, be maybe a pastor later on. Before that, I guess maybe I just wrote before something else, but in 80 through 84, he was the first black delegate elected, which is kind of a big deal. When you're a delegate, it's like the people in your town or your city or your district voting you to be the person that votes for something else. So, for instance, the person that chose
to a party convention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're representatives in primaries or general elections. Everybody
Yeah.
knows about superdelegates. We don't need to antagonize the Bernie people or the Hillary people.
Not anymore. We do it enough. So in 86, he's appointed chaplain of the U.S. Army, which is pretty huge. There's not a ton of those positions. He first was assigned to the 24th, which was the Buffalo Soldiers, which pretty sure was mostly African-American soldiers. I forgot. I looked up what Buffalo Soldiers... It has a few different meanings, but I think that was the earliest.
Yeah, sort of in this context, it refers to...
Not Bob Marley's homies,
No.
but...
So, Bob Marley's homies were named in reference to them.
Yeah, I thought that was probably where that went. So can you add the song clip?
As opposed to an
Do you guys have
ad-lib.
the rights? Or should we
Oh,
just
Yeah,
do
we
it?
do.
no, I got the...
When we started the podcast, we were like, well, we need the domain
theme song.
name, and the other thing we need to buy is the rights to Buffalo Soldiers.
We had to really get the Patreon, really clicking.
And they got up to $6, and we were able to do it.
And actually, Ziggy Marley will sell you any of his dad's music if you just talk about his vape pen online. It's a really weird deal he likes to do.
Does he really sell vape pens?
Yeah, so I worked at Twist and Shout Records. They might not like that I'm talking about this, but I don't work there anymore.
They won't hear this.
What are they going to do? Hire you back and fire you? Yeah.
They have a huge Swedish workforce. Ziggy
Pork.
Eat Swedish fish. Ziggy Marley was going to do a show, like an in-store concert there, and one of his demands was that we sell his vape pens for him. Like, it's not like we take them in and sell them. It's like he sets up a thing at his table and we help sell.
Doesn't that require like a permit to sell something like vape pens?
I don't think they had product in them. It would have just been like the electric piece, which I don't think it's just like selling probably have to be 18 to buy something that gets that hot. So I think they were like, yeah, we can't really let you sell your vape pens here. That's just too much. And I think he still did the show, but yeah, he slings vape pens and probably weed and Rasta hats to white dudes like us.
We all have one. Everyone in this recording, you can't see this, listeners, but we're all wearing Rasta hats.
Rasta hats with fake dreads.
Just to keep us warm in the hot summer's day.
WrestleMania was last week, and one of my favorite all-time wrestlers is Bret Hart, and he was being inducted into the Hall of Fame, and a white dude from Nebraska was wearing a Rasta hat and attacked him in the ring, like while he was giving his speech. Like a 60-year-old man, dude. It was so funny. Like it's like there was like,
if there's a better picture of American culture
than a Rastafarian wearing white boy from Nebraska tackling a 60-year-old Canadian man.
Yep. In a nutshell, this is America. Like that theme song from America's Funniest Home Videos. America, this is you.
Yeah, but then they transpose that to a minor key, so it's kind of just depressing and upsetting.
Like Jordan Peele's Us, sort of key.
If Jordan Peele redid America's Funniest Home Videos...
His next movie is a white man in a Rasta hat tackling Bret Hart, and that's the whole movie.
He wins an Oscar.
Yeah, I mean, I'd watch it.
From there on, Alan Allensworth just did cool old man type shit. His family eventually joined him while he was traveling around doing the chaplain stuff. They went through like some Indian territory, Fort Harrison. His wife was an organist, and that's why he married her. She joined him, so she was like doing the organ while he was being the priest or whatever, the pastor. It's a nice Sonny and Cher type deal. He retired in 1906, been promoted to the rank of lieutenant colonel at that time, the first African American to do so. No big deal. Let's see, I have a few other notes that are pretty cool. One interesting thing, he was married in 1977. His wife's name was Josephine.
1877?
Yep, that's right. He was married years after his death, just like Hitler. And then he did the thing where you ask your mom to live with you. And his mom moved in with his...
Of course, the Germans called it Gewürztraminer.
I read that. So his poor wife had to deal with his mom there, and she lived with him until she died.
That's how the idea for the sitcom was born.
Yeah.
Allensworth.
It was Friends, Seinfeld, and Gewürztraminer, the biggest sitcoms of the 90s.
Thursdays are hot on NBC.
Yeah. How I Met Your Gewürztraminer.
Caroline in the Gewürztraminer.
Alan's probably biggest thing that he did was he essentially started the first I think it was a total black African American city, or not a commune, but that sort of thing in California. Guess what it was named, everyone? You have two guesses. One of them is Allensworth and the other one is Worth.
I'm not gonna lie, I know the answer to this question.
Oh yeah, I forgot. You guys signed this to me. So Allentown, Pennsylvania.
So everyone at home, put in your guess. Send it off to 1-800 Allensworth Boulevard.
Wait, so it's an address, not a phone number.
Allensworth Boulevard.
Yeah. It started as a phone number and then it became an address.
Well, it's not anymore because it's not an actual place exactly. It's still, well, I guess the history
The
of it
place
is...
exists.
The place exists. It's now like a national monument to Allensworth. But he essentially got this place going. It was very like agriculturally minded. Mm-hmm. They did pretty well for themselves considering it. You know, they just brought a bunch of people from the middle of the country to California to build this. I think he brought like 10 families at first, and then it was 40, and just kind of went from there. And eventually, the city did kind of go under, like they couldn't support themselves. So now it's, and well deservingly, a national monument. And I don't believe he lived there forever. But because he's definitely not alive anymore.
No, he's not a Highlander.
Yeah.
He's definitely dead. He died September 14th, 1914. And this is probably my favorite thing besides him marching in. Like, his death is funny because when I looked it up initially, it's so funny. It's so good.
Allensworth, the first line on Wikipedia, his death is funny.
It's pretty good.
I found it by going to Wikipedia.
Funny
list of hilarious deaths.
Funniest
yeah.
deaths. It's only funny because of the internet. When I searched like how did he die, it was essentially, it just said
Eric Andre shot him.
Eric
and
Andre,
then said,
bad joke.
"How could you do this, Alan Allensworth?"
Oh shit! I thought you were a different Alan Allensworth. I went to school with one. He was a dick. When I searched it, it said cause of death motorcycle accident. And I don't know why, but I just laughed so hard about that because I was like, this great dude wrecked his fucking motorcycle.
Well, it feels very out of place given...
Yeah, considering who he was and what he did and how old he was at the time.
Old Lawrence of Arabia.
So yeah.
Same track.
Though... Not quite that he wrecked his motorcycle so much as
someone else wrecked their motorcycle on him.
Lawrence Worth. Well, that's what happened to Alan Allensworth as well. Like, in my brain, I read that and I was like, he fucking wrecked a bike? What a nerd. Like, so then I looked in closer and it just said that he was in, I think it was Monrovia, California, and he was hit by a motorcycle. And it didn't say much more, but I really did want to read more about the last few seconds and, like, what was so important? Like, what was he going across the street for?
The description "wrecked his motorcycle" is incorrect.
Yeah,
it never said that.
Incorrect.
It just
Quite
said
a motorcycle was wrecked would be correct.
Yeah, like motorcycle accident just made me think like, oh, he wrecked a bike. But I guess regardless of how the accident, like, it was still an accident. It's just like, well, it's more of a street crossing accident than
Cody, I think you're going to get a thinner coat. I think. I'm sorry, Corey.
Corey'sworth.
Corey, you're going to get a thinner curse later tonight where a motorcycle runs up upon you for mocking motorcycle accidents.
Dudes, I'm going to share this with you because I maybe only told my wife, but I was taking 6th Avenue, important avenue, listeners in Sweden, in Denver here. And there were some motorcyclists being like chumps where they're all riding dangerously and expecting everyone to let them swerve in and out and be scary. But there was one biker in this 5-biker gang that was being kind of cautious and cool. And I was like, well, at least that dude's being all right. And then his friends like do some other stunt pulling bullshit. And they all take a right onto I-25 North. And this dude that was being polite doesn't catch it right away and gets stuck with the rest of traffic. So he got separated from his friends. Okay. And it was so great to see him just like have to think like, what the fuck am I going to do now? It just felt so good to see all these guys thinking they're badasses and then they leave their buddy behind.
To bring it back to The Wire, as Omar said, conscious due cost. So,
Corey, thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Alan Allensworth, too.
Every week, Denver's own Real Nerds podcast sees a new movie and we podcast our experience to the world.
I think sometimes we're funny.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm talking, not when you're talking, not when you're talking.
Oh,
you know, it might help if you told them that we're on iTunes or we're on Stitcher so they could find a place there you can actually listen to us.
Oh, okay, Brad. We're also on Twitter at Real Nerds, and we have an Instagram account. Boom. Commercial, Brad. Cut, paste, upload. We like to have fun.
Sure. I like fun.
James, you're very bad at improv. RealNerdsPodcast.com.
The story of Alan Allensworth is largely accurate. What is inaccurate is the story of the town of Allensworth, California, which records will have you believe is a town that went on for about 40-ish years before it was abandoned because it was a poor spot for agricultural achievement. Basically, it was unsustainable.
Agricultural achievement.
Yeah, they were on their Xbox 360s and they didn't get those Chivos, so they left. That's not quite true. Allensworth thrived. It was a harmonious town, an entirely black town, and it was living in harmony.
4-part harmony.
Part harmony, yeah. Meanwhile, across the nation, the enemy town of founded by Allensworth's arch rival, Aldesworth.
Did you say Alan Aldersworth?
Aldesworth founded a town called Aldesworth in South Carolina, the entire opposite side of the country.
Now, what about Arkansworth?
That's somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure MASH took place in South Korea if it's Alan Aldersworth.
Arkansworth is mostly noticeable for whenever there's a child beauty pageant where the parents love their child, that's where they have to drive to fulfill her dreams.
Okay, of course. Arkansworth. Duh. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Aldesworth, which was founded by Allensworth's dark double half, who was, of course, a white man born to privilege who fought for the Confederacy and decided he wanted an all-white town. They created Aldesworth. And in their pursuit of unrelenting power, they created a terrible ring to control the minds of all Americans.
God damn it. I knew that was going to take like a left turn somewhere. I did not realize it would be so sharp.
And it was lost in Arkansworth, in fact, in the middle of the country. And eventually, a local native of Allensworth had to cross the entire country with his friends, and a wizard who I guess Morgan Freeman has to play him? It makes the most sense.
Yeah.
To destroy this terrible artifact of white supremacy. Now, obviously it seemed like it worked at the time. This was around the late 60s, early 70s, 80s maybe. And it seemed like maybe it was okay for getting less heinous. But obviously it resurged. And so Allensworth had no choice but to segregate themselves from the entire world around them. It was described in the press that this was an abandoned town, that there were no more resources there, but in fact, it was a fount of resources. It was always the most beautiful town in the entire country.
Yeah, of course, but just like protected from the outside world.
Protected from the outside world. They had in fact had a great vein of rich minerals that most people do not know about. So they put up a shield around themselves, a force field, and became Allensworth, the town that is protected from all the rest of America, but is the most technologically advanced. The leader was called the Allen Panther.
Yeah, that's just his given name, Allen Panther.
Yeah, that was just, literally his name. And they became, for the past 50 years, the most technologically advanced city in the entire United States, hidden from everybody else, away from the horrific events of MLK's murder, the Martin Luther King, or MLK's murder, the Rodney King riots, every other horrible racist, the Trump
replacing Aunt
presidency.
Viv.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Exactly. And eventually, an outsider sent to Los Angeles for reconnaissance, named Aldamonger, came back and told them of their folly. And while he was too extreme and was eventually defeated, they became aware of the fact that they needed to become a haven for the entire African American community of the entire United States, and are hopefully planning in 2020 to be a new beacon of hope for oppressed people everywhere. And that is how I tried to write an alternate version.
Now, I don't want to sound like Forrest Gump here, but I don't mean to ruin your Black Panther party. The story sounds familiar. There's something.
fact-
Is it the Shire?
Oh,
This sounds
actually-
like Frodo. What's this?
I forgot to mention that J.R.R. Tolkien stole the idea for the entire series. Rip-off Tolkien stole the idea of his Lord of the Rings trilogy from the story of Allensworth.
Twice.
The author's so nice they named him twice.
Yeah. Zach, thank you.
Alan Allensworth, the person
Listen,
whose name
guys.
was so nice.
We're at a weird point in this podcast where we have selected a series of inspirational stories that it's very difficult to come up with an alternate version of.
Yes, it is.
And no person who comes on this podcast wants to take the alternate history because obviously it's horrible to be like, hey, what if Harriet Tubman was like a monster? So
That's
here
fine,
we
'cause
are.
We get the real stories out, at least.
Yeah. And I also lost my initial notes that I had last
Oh,
week.
no.
So here we are.
Don't worry. After we finish this chapter of history, we'll move on to some real shitbags. That'll be...
Yeah, circus animals.
I was going to say, one thing I want to do in the near future, famous old Hollywood mysteries, I think would be a really engaging... I have a few ideas for
Like how
chapters.
Christopher Walken murdered Natalie Wood.
Hey, that's later in the timeline than I was thinking, but it was still old enough that I think we could do it.
I think my Walken sounded like Woody Allen there.
Yeah,
I
was gonna
apologize
say,
to Jewish
I was wondering
people.
why you're doing a Woody Allen. Like a Margaret Dumont.
Black Dahlia,
or,
Murder of the
Thelma Todd.
Century,
Thelma Todd. That's who I'm thinking.
the Lindbergh
Ben
baby.
Affleck movie,
Yeah.
I can't
Superman, Hollywoodland.
Yeah, Elias Kazan's involvement in the McCarthyism, all of that. Old Hollywood mysteries. I think it'd be a fun one.
Yeah, like how Tupac had a secretary named Biggie, and Biggie had a secretary named Tupac.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That was like
Yeah,
a
of course.
pretty huge conspiracy theory in the day.
And it was also famously said on the day of Tupac's murder that his secretary Biggie said, "I don't think you should go to that thug's mansion in the sky."
Oh, goddamn it. Listeners, before we move on, just want to remind you that you can always interact with us, get personal with us.
Why would you?
At revisionistpodcast.com. Say hey, which is not just hey, but Swedish for hello.
You know what? I'd say go a step above that. If you really want to, go to our iTunes review page, leave a comment, and write ASL, and we'll tell you. We'll give you our age, sex, and location.
Wait, no, what? No. Zach.
I think I've given everybody, by the way, 31, male, Chicago.
No, okay, yeah, 31 male, Denver, I guess.
33 male, Denver.
Sounds like an episode of Next.
Yeah, it does.
ASL is, by today's standards, so quaint.
Oh yeah, when you could just get
Dick
someone's
pics are the new
DNA.
ASL.
We sort of half announced this on the last regular episode, but the next we've already given away a couple, but the next we'll still say the next 5 people to leave a written review on iTunes, screenshot that and send it to revisionistpodcast@gmail.com. We'll get a free Jeff Tice design t-shirt.
No kidding.
Yeah. So
Neat.
if you feel free, go ahead and do that. And thank you to the couple people who have done it so far.
Yeah, you know what? Write ASL, and for the first time in your life, for being a total creep, you'll get a t-shirt as a reward. We're positively enforcing creeps.
Yeah, no, please don't write ASL.
Just change the gender labeling part to something cool, like if you fucking party or something, dude. APL, dude, you party?
That's still bad.
Age, political party, location.
Age podcast L?
Age, favorite Shrek movie location.
Okay, the way
Favorite Shrek movie. I
Age,
love that.
Shrek's location.
AFL. SML.
Yeah, age Shrek's location.
Age
like-
Shrek L. Yeah, that's what it means now.
No, but like, the more things you substitute in, the more they make those things seem like fetishes, though. Like,
But the
that's
problem
my problem
is,
with
once you
this.
have age Shrek L, it's going to be like a lot of Shrek porn that comes up.
Yeah.
I want to hear someone that does sexualize someone's location. Oh, you're in Tulsa? Oh, you're a slut backwards.
Chattanooga.
You live in a swamp?
76 male White House.
No. Don't you disrespect our president. He's 72?
He's 72.
You know what I always said about Bozeman, Montana? Is I'd like to bone some men in Bozeman, Montana. I don't know.
I'd experiment with men for the first time in Bozeman. I choose that city.
That's again. We're coming up with a lot of great city mottos.
When you drive into Bozeman, it says the city of experimentation. That's their slogan.
Bozeman, Montana's Pueblo.
You can't spell Bozeman without booze, almost.
God damn it.
Age, sex, location. 44. I'm a Bose man. In
That's
Bozeman.
And you're a Bose fan, which is a fan of Bose speakers, our sponsor for this episode. Anyway.
Age 12. From Boise.
No.
Also a Boise.
Listeners, The Revisionist is a proud member of the Denver Podcast Network, unless we've been kicked out by now.
Almost certainly.
Along with such shows as Voice of Montbello, which is a show run by the students of what was formerly Montbello High School in Denver, Colorado. And it's a really great show. They talk to people in their own community and city leaders. They've interviewed the former chief of police, mayoral candidates, city council candidates.
Not to
really
be
great show.
confused with Voice of Monticello, which has a lot of slavery.
Monticello?
I forgot the middle syllable.
Well, that's why I thought you were going to make like a classical music joke. Sorry, that was my bad.
It was everyone's bad.
Corey, your show The Ruckus is at the Marquee Theater.
Yes.
The next one is coming up May 12th.
May 12th. Mother's Day. Come on down.
Mother's Day.
Mm.
Nope, editing that out. So much I'm editing out.
I know.
Yeah,
it's
this
been
is
fun.
an edit-heavy episode.
Who's going to be on that one?
Al Jackson.
Oh, awesome.
Acclaimed Denver comedian.
Yes.
And then, It's Just Bugs is our house band. They're real tight. So that's a fun show if you're a music fan.
Al Jackson, you've seen him on Comedy Central. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
Famous person. Many Al Jacksons are out there. He's the funniest.
And, yeah. I just want to plug Day and NyQuil, something I've been on for the past week, nonstop.
Plug my nose with Kleenex.
Love that quill.
Love that quill. You're such a fan of writing.
Dayquil, man. I get on that little orange kitty and I ride it all day long.
That orange kitty.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, Garfield juice.
As for me, I co-host Queen City Companion, All Falls storytelling show at Muni Information Cafe with Jen Colick, friend of the show, and Corey Healy actually does the sound for that.
I mix stuff. Mixologists, we call them ourselves.
Yeah, that's exactly what we call it. And hey, if you're in the Denver area, come check that out the first Thursday of every month. And then come check out the Metro State University One Acts, which I'm directing part of, which is partly why I am so tired and partly why this recording is so late. Mine is going to be May 9th, so come check that out and see like 9 different really fun plays. But judgment falls to me this episode, which is, again, difficult for this series of episodes.
Let's just agree, first of all, joke of the show, where's Cornwallis?
Yep.
Yeah,
Let's
that was
remember
fun.
how
Joke of
much
the
fun
show.
we
Fun
had.
riff, guys.
In 87 episodes, that's one of the top moments for me. But I think in terms of offering me a little hope for the future, and while also maintaining the strokes of Alan Allensworth's story and maintaining the strokes the garage rock band, I will cast my vote for the alternate history.
How unexpected.
Written by Zach Powers and co-authored by Dayquil.
Yeah.
Marvel.
But listeners voting...
And J.R. Tolkien.
Yeah, of course. Who shot J.R. Tolkien? Classic episode of Dallas.
Solid Dallas.
Jesus Christ. Listeners voting is now open on Patreon.
It was Treebeard, by the way. If you missed the follow-up episode, it was Treebeard who did it.
Of course.
I wanted to remember the name of that shit wizard who lived in the forest.
Shit wizard.
Radagast the Brown.
Tom Bombadil. Tom
Bombadil is fucking great. Like, Tom Bombadil, no, like, he forgets shit.
He's a demigod, whatever.
He fell out of the apple tree, right? In that, Boo Radley. Boo Radley. Oh,
no, that's an entirely different
Damn
mythos.
it. To kill a
completely
mockingbird.
separate from Tom Bombadil.
What are we actually talking Atticus
This is
Finch.
our new band, the Bombadil Radleys.
Yeah, it's, of course, surf rock.
I'm not surprised that you picked the alternate story, considering how you also think that not being asked to prom is like slavery.
Okay. God damn it.
I'm not surprised I lost this round.
You think I can't edit that out. I'm editing that out.
Brian's plug this week is for 4chan/incel.
God damn it. Corey, thank you.
Thank you guys. This is fun.
Zach, thank you as
I'm
always.
just kidding. Obviously, Brian is a recently happily married man who has healthy views on
Good person.
on gender.
Thank you.
It's easy to corner somebody in their own office.
Full disclosure to all of our listeners, Brian is not a fucking monster. I act like he is all the time, but he is a very sweet man who has been my friend for a long time.
It's fun to act like I'm a monster because I'm so much myself that it's just funny to imagine me as a monster. No, it's not. What am I doing? Okay, for everyone here at The Revisionist, I'm Brian Flynn.
I'm Zach Powers. I'm an incel.
No, God damn it. Have a good time. Don't be an incel.